Welcome back to the channel, guys. So for those of you who have seen the electrical video that I made on how I did my electrical system in here, today is a big day because I'm changing almost everything. Not the cabling to the engine, but everything here. So the Bluetti AC200 Max that I've been using, that's going. I've had some problems with it. It's been replaced once because the LCD touchscreen failed, and now, so the main way you charge it is through a power brick, and you plug it into AC, which is, as you know, I have plugged into the inverter I have there, which is connected to the engine when it runs. And it goes through a power brick because it has to transform the 14 volts coming from the alternator to 58 volts to charge the battery, because it's a 52 volt battery. But so it's a jack that you plug in, and hopefully you guys can see that. Do you see that white blob on there? That's the resin that insulates inside the plastic shroud that separates the terminals, and it melted. And I don't know how it melted. It hasn't been moved the whole time it's been in here, but so one day I noticed, I checked in my app and it wasn't charging, and so I did a quick look, and this was arcing. I could hear it crackling inside the plug, and then when I took a closer look, I saw that it had melted. And so also it appears as though the jack that this plugs into, it has damaged it slightly. It still charges, but now the plug, I bought a new charger and I plugged it in, it doesn't hold it tight anymore, so it'll wiggle, which obviously that's not good, and over time it's gonna fail as well. So I'm tired of it. I contacted Bluetti, and the unit's gonna go back. So to replace it, I'm doing a separate component system like you would see in a van life. I've got a separate battery, I've bought a new inverter, I've got a charger right here, which I'll show you in a second. And today we're going to change it all, and that's what we're going to do. So I'm going to use a Renogy charger. It's a 50 amp max, but this is a dual. It will also charge from my solar panels too in the same unit, rather than have two separate charging units. And as you know, I got limited space, so one instead of two. I greatly prefer that. So there's that, and I got a 2000 watt Renogy inverter too, which is considerably bigger than the 700 watt that I already have here. All right. So fun times. Oh, now on the battery, which is still packed up in the cab there, it's an SOK battery, 206 amp hour battery. It has the heating element in it, and it has onboard Bluetooth. So that'll be going in last, because everything is built back behind it, and then the battery will sit in there at the last point. So I'll show you that a little bit later. Okay, let's get going. Alright, so this is the main terminal coming from the engine, and I gotta get this one off here. So if you did watch it, I did explain that, so that's my ground that goes to the frame, and this goes to the battery stroke alternator in the front. And if you guys watched the video that I made prior, I did explain that this is a 0 gauge cable, and it's massively overrated. So today, and so these right here also 0 gauge. I used these right here, even though it's only pulling a max of about 60 amps through this thing. It's rated at 140. I don't need these cables. I used them because, well, I had it rather than buy extra cables. But today, all that gets changed. Alright, so in case you guys haven't seen, that's what it looks like in the back. And I'm going to be probably, so I've got two ground blocks, two bus bars, I'm sorry. So this I think will go straight to a bus bar there for the ground. So that'll be somewhere up here, I think. This is going to go, I've got an isolator switch that I'm going to put here so that if I want to disconnect it from the battery in the engine bay and I want to do some work here, I will be able to disconnect it and de-energize the battery from there. I'll have another one on this side, which I'll show you later, to disconnect the house battery from the system too. So if I want to work on it and de-energize it, I can just isolate in both ends and I'm good to go. And that's the cable going to the fridge, which I bought a little fuse box, a fuse panel, which I think is probably going to go somewhere there. Hopefully, it's small. And I originally was going to install some jacks that I can just plug this into, but I think with the fridge, if the fuse panel is going to go right there, I'm going to cut the plug off and direct wire it. So this is the isolator switch. So that's going to get mounted, and then this is going to go on there like that. Okay, so we're getting a little closer here. So this is the battery. The signage is on the other side, you can't see it, but it's an SOK. Well, you can see the brand right there. So you can see here, that's not finalized yet, and the inverter is going to go right above it. This is just hanging there temporarily, but it's all hooked up. So there's the neutral cable to the bar. There's the live down here. It goes into the charger. Sorry, into the charger right there. So it comes up to the switch, out of the switch to this, from this to here, from here to the bar, and the neutral just goes directly to it, and everything hooks up right there. And I have a small fuse panel that I'm going to mount right over here as well. So final stages, I'm going to where is it? So coming off the battery, I've just made this up here. This is the switch, so this is going to go right about here to kill the system. So it'll be mounted right here. Oh, actually right there. This switch, this fuse is going to go down here. So it's going to come off the battery to the isolator, out of the isolator to the fuse, and then from the fuse directly to the bus bar, and we'll be good. And then I can mount that up there, and then when I put the inverter in, then all I've got to do is the neutral will be coming straight out to the bus bar, and then the live, which is down about here, will come straight down to the live bus bar over here. And then I've got a few other things I've got for USB, and the 12 volt car plug, a few other things, but those are the finessing things. And then the solar panel, these are the cables, these are the ones coming in from the roof, and then so the neutral is gone straight to the bar right here, and so that will be hooked up to the black right there, and then this will be hooked up to that, which goes into the charger itself. So whenever I want to work on the system, I can easily disconnect the solar panels as well. I'm gonna have a little more space than I had before, so this is gonna be good. I will lose some of my storage. I had this as a pocket, and I used it for storage, so that's going to be gone. But I just wanted to give you guys a little, so you can just see what it's like. And then this cable right here, that goes to the fridge. So when the fuse panel's up and I got it hooked, then this will go straight into the fuse panel, and I'll have it hardwired to 12 volt directly. Alright, I'll see you when I get this finished even. Alright, there you go. Alright guys, so it's in, pretty much finished. I need to do all the individual circuits last I mean, but the basic system is in, and I've got the engine running right now. You might be able to hear that. So you can see there's the first switch down there, isolator. Second one is right there. The SOK battery is in. The energy charger is charging. I've got the solar disconnected right now because when you first get the battery, it's zero charge, so you got to charge it up. And what this charger does is when you have solar, it cuts the power charging from the alternator by half, down to 25 amps. So I wanted to give it more juice. So you can see here's the that's a bit bright. I don't know if you guys can see that. So this is the app for the SOK battery. I've got the Bluetooth module hooked up for the energy too, but that for some reason my phone doesn't connect to the device. I've got to look at that. But you can see right here it's drawing a current of 46.5 amps to charge it. The state of charge is 1%, and charge voltage is 13.22 coming out of the energy charger. And you can see right there, look, so on the battery it tells you it's a 206 amp hour battery, but the calculated capacity of the actual battery itself by the battery is 214.5 amp hours. So SOK for the win. So I've got to let this run for a while so I can get enough charge going. In the meantime, I'm going to hook up the other circuits so that I can plug my devices back in. Okay, so it's a week later, and things failed already. The energy charger that I bought, it failed. The only thing it did was direct charge to the battery from the engine when the engine was running. There was no metering, no nothing. The Bluetooth module would not talk to the device. If solar doesn't work, none of that. So let me show you. This is the one I just replaced. I got it from Amazon, so all I did is just order a new one, and I will just RMA this to Amazon rather than go through Energy. I've already got the new one put in, but just to give you a heads up. So there are 4 lights on the front of this. This one tells you if it's charging via solar. It doesn't tell you if you've got solar coming in, only if it's charging via solar. I presently have a solar over voltage right now. I think there's probably some sort of configuration I have to do. In the app it says to call Energy. They're not open on weekends. It's a weekend. Anyway, so this right here is the indicator LED for the type of battery that you're using. And there's a button down here on the side. You probably can't see it right there. So what it is that by default it's set to a flooded battery, which is a red LED, and then you cycle through until you find the corresponding color for the type of battery you have. I have a lithium, so the LED should be blue. Pressing this button did nothing. It stayed unflooded the whole time. And sometimes the lights would come on, sometimes the lights wouldn't come on. Wouldn't charge with solar. It was just an absolute failure. But it did charge my battery with like 47 amps at most is what it would pull from the alternator when the engine is running, which is really great. Because if it didn't charge my battery, I would have been in trouble. I need heat and I need power for my fridge, but it did. So anyway, I just wanted to show you real quick. This is what it looks like. There are two caps that go over this, so this one is going to go back. So the SOK battery, highly recommend. I've got the 206 amp hour heated and Bluetooth enabled battery. I showed you earlier in the app that it calculates based on your usage, well not usage, but where it shows you the ends of the battery, where it's 0 charge and 100% charge, and it calculates its actual capacity based off of that. So when you first get it, the SOC, the state of charge, is not set, so you have to do two full charges all the way to 0 and let the battery turn off, and then all the way back up to 100%, then all the way off again, and then it finds those parameters. Because of all of this, the failure of the charger, I have not yet done that. So presently, the SoC is reading the battery at a 40 amp hour battery, but as you saw earlier, it's actually 214 amp hours. So I now have to go through the process of draining the battery, which will take a while. I've got a heater that I'm going to hook up. One thing I did discover with the SOK, it is set, the BMS is set to 100 amp hour, 100 amp cutoff. So if you pull more than 100 amps, it turns off. The BMS turns off. So you can't use the battery when it does that. It's easy to reset. You just disengage the power. Which is another reason why I'm glad I put those disconnect switches on, which I'll show you in a second. I'll show you how this all people just pulled up. I'm in the middle of nowhere. So what was I saying? Yeah, so it cuts off at 100 amps, and then you just have to disconnect the power for a couple of seconds, and then turn it back on, or disconnect the outward power to it, from it, and it will reset itself. It's fantastic battery. SOK for the win. It's okay, babe. All right, I'm going to show you how the wiring turned out. All right, so I've got the system de-energized at the moment. I've got it, you can see that I've got the one isolator down there. I've disconnected, turned that off so that it's not pulling from the battery. It's kind of redundant in this situation because the black box down there, that's the automatic isolator from the engine, so it's actually double isolated at the moment. I've got the manual one in there at the moment because if the automatic one, if the contactor in there ever gets stuck on or something, I can still disconnect. Anyway, so that's off, and the second one is down here, and it's off already as well, which is why, as you can see, there's no lights on the charger. The charger right here, and there's the battery. So this is my USB hub right here that I've got wired into. I've got a little fuse panel right here. I like this one too because if a fuse pops, an LED comes on to tell you which one and that it's off and that it's broken. Okay, with the system energized, like you can see right here, so the LEDs are now on. This is the Bluetooth module, and you can see that's getting power. I gotta place this somewhere yet, I don't know. Much more cable than I need. And so now you can see LEDs are on. There's the solar light if it's charging from solar. I don't actually have it connected right now, but blue light set to lithium, and you got that one too. So there's actually a table where you can look at what the lights will indicate, and so far everything's healthy. When the engine's running and it's charging from the engine, that will come on. All right, so everything's on. So we'll go through the basic circuitry. So comes off of the battery, as you can see, up into the isolator switch, out of the switch. If I can get around there, down to a fuse. This is a 200 amp fuse that I've got down there, and then it goes out into the bus bar for the live. All the neutrals, because they're common, they come in. This is the main one off the frame. That's the frame of the truck, and then all the other neutrals go to that bar. And then, yeah, this obviously goes onto my little fuse panel, and I break out all my little fuses and my circuits. So then there's the live bus bar. So we come off the fuse to there, straight out into the inverter. Then this one down here goes out to the output of the charger. Sorry for the jerking around, guys, but it is a tight space in here. Speaking of, look how much more space I've got with that Bluetti gone. So much more room. And then to keep the battery in place, I've got a block here and a block there, so it stops it sliding back and forth and side to side. And then obviously you've got the wheel arch right behind it. Ooh, I should just do that. A little difficult to keep this square. And then I screwed a loop down there, on the loop down there, and I got a strap over the top so it doesn't move. All right, there you go.